And good morning. It's City of Hutchinson time as we have Council Member John Richardson in. He is the Northwest District Representative. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So we talked about weather. You told me before we got in here you had like 3 inches of rain this morning. Stormwater.
Yeah. So drove around a little bit this morning and saw some of the areas where drainage has been an issue. And it's interesting because the rate of rainfall was significant last night, to the point where the rate of drainage, it overwhelmed a lot of the drainage in the areas what it's designed for. And some of that is the fact that we live in an area that's flat and we're surrounded by creeks and rivers and
Right.
the stormwater system and the rate of drainage was lower than the rate of rainfall for a while last night.
So, yeah, it was just like a deluge. I looked at some of the radar stuff, and the amount of rain that fell between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. was just astonishing. And then it kind of backed off, but it's been raining off and on all night.
Yeah, and somehow my truck's still covered in mud from the other day. I don't know how that worked out.
So, it's that time of year. I brought it up with the county commissioner yesterday. It's budget time. What are we looking at? What's the city looking at? I know you've had a couple budget study sessions. What can you tell me? What's the thoughts coming from the city?
Well, I mean, the number one thing we're talking about is looking at where our revenues are and what that relation is in regards to mill levies and possible sales tax, how that corresponds with what we have for projected expenditures. That's the hot topic right now.
All right. So I know that the budget's always a big thing, and I saw the city put out a thing was where how each dollar that the city gets is broken down, and there's always those key expenses that pop up, and then people are going to complain about this and complain about that. They're going to complain about arts. They're going to complain about parks. But the big two things it looked like from that was police and fire and EMS and public works.
Yeah, those are a big percentage of the pie. We're not alone. I know Wichita right now is going through the same discussions in regards to mill levy and sales tax. And they actually put out a flyer, I think it was May 27th, that showed all the cities of the first class and how we all sit against each other in regards to sales tax and mill levy. And that's a really good informational graph to look at. But we also have to look at where we're spending our money here locally. And it's always a push to be more efficient. And everyone has a different opinion on what a need versus a want is and where it lies on the spectrum of how they interpret quality of life in our city.
So the whole budget process, and I know it's just now getting started, but what's the deadline? What's the deadline that you have to submit to the state to let them know where you're at? Or what is that deadline so that people will know? Because the mill levy affects property taxes, and the property taxes, that statement comes out from the appraiser's office.
Correct. So the information from the appraiser's office, I believe, came out in June, and our finance director was able to give us projections based on property valuations and where we'd sit based on where these mill levies were. So that's good information to have. I can't remember if it's late July or August that we're supposed to have that done and in, but in the city of Hutchinson, to give you some quick and easy math on it, for every $100,000 in value, a mill is about $11.50 a year in property tax.
Right.
So with a 2 mil increase on a $100,000 valuation on a house, it's $23. The issue has been the rate of housing values have gone up quite a bit.
Right.
In 2019, 2020, the city would get about $510 to $511 for every $100,000 in value for a house. We're down to about $440 right now, but it's the value of the homes that has gone up significantly with cost of construction and demand. That's been an issue that we've been trying to.
And that's been one of those issues. It's not just here. It's statewide. That's the issue, because it seems like property valuations have just skyrocketed.
It has, and the costs of what we have to spend money on has gone up quite a bit too. If you look at, I think it's the National Highway Index, the cost of highway construction has gone up 50% in 2 years. So you can look at highway construction and compare that to roads and streets to be probably similar. So our cost for our infrastructure has gone up quite a bit more than even inflation, which over 4 or 5 years has been, aggregated over 20% inflation that we're fighting on that too.
Yeah, because you look at it, you just completed, or within the last couple of months, you just completed the 30th Street project there between Main Street and you have the big one going on right now there at Whitty Seat at Avenue A.
Mm-hmm. And we were able to capture some of the ARPA funding to help pay for Whitty Seat, but it doesn't take away from the difficult aspect for the 5 council members is to be the advocates for the rest of the city on what is a want versus a need and where it lies on that spectrum for our community for things like arts and parks. People have different opinions on that, and everyone has an opinion on things we don't need, and that's usually the stuff they don't use.
Yeah,
but don't take away from the stuff I do use.
Yeah, it's the arts and parks stuff that I think gets everybody. But that graphic that the city put out, the arts was like 1.5 cents.
Oh, it's
of
small.
every dollar. I mean, it's like minuscule compared to like I said earlier, Public Works, which is I think 32 cents, 33 cents, and the police and fire department is 44 cents out of every dollar.
And over the last few years, we've had staffing issues, and now we've drastically improved staffing on open positions, and our response time for emergencies has gone down quite a bit. We don't want to back off on that.
Right, and because if you start backing up on, like, say, fire response times or fire certification levels, you start dealing with, okay, now the insurance companies are going to want to charge your constituents more because the coverage isn't as good.
It's everything affects everything else, and it's chess, not checkers.
Right. So we're talking with City Council Member John Richardson this morning on the BW Morning Show. We'll be right back after this message. And we're back on the BW Morning Show. We're talking with Councilperson John Richardson this morning. One thing I did note from the last City Commission meeting, and we were talking about it during the break, is dangerous and unsafe buildings. There's those 10 properties that the city staff has designated, and they didn't make it to council because of technicalities. Talk a little bit about where we're at with those buildings.
So there will be, I believe the public hearing is in August. So the property owners can come in front of City Council, talk about what they have done, what their plans are, what their intent or to do or not do with the property is, and then we can hear from other people within the community on what their thoughts are. It's a public hearing.
Right.
No decisions other than listening,
and then set another date to have the people come before council and talk about the plan.
Probably.
The atrium, that's kind of nice. Tied up in a bow, it's complete. Any status on what that property is going to be used for? What technically is that property still in the hands of the owner, or is that
correct? The property's still in the hands of the owner.
So if he can do anything he wants with it,
he's got costs associated with the demolition that have been tied to the property.
So if he tries to sell it, he's got that much more.
That debt's hanging on that property.
Debt is on that property. Mm-hmm. The other building that we had talked about, and it was quite the thing there for a while, was the worm building. I think it's the old east side of the Eaton.
Yeah, Fed and Happy Worms. Fed and Happy is the name of the business. The old Eaton facility on Airport Road. Yeah, no, he's been communicating with the city. He's been making efforts, and he has contractors out there working on it. So he's being proactive with making steps going in the correct direction.
I've been by there because that's my way home. Is if I go by Mom's, I come by the airport and go out Airport Road, and I've seen people there, so I know something's going on. But that's it's good to hear that that's going forward.
Yeah, I would say, without talking for the other 4 council members, that being proactive, showing communication with city staff on issues that have come up to meet or get close to meeting code goes a long way rather than avoiding. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to work with people if they're avoiding even communicating.
All right. One other item that was a hotbed item, Memorial Hall. Where do we stand there?
The RFPs for ideas on what to do with Memorial Hall, I believe, are due early July. There have been quite a few that have come to the table with letters of intent, so it's looking very promising that people are stepping up to the plate with some ideas on how to use Memorial Hall to highest and best use for the community, which is really what we're looking for.
So basically, those will go to the city manager's office. Him and his staff will go through them, and then those will all be presented to commission.
Correct, and they communicate with us when stuff comes in. And actually, a lot of them will independently reach out to us. Hey, I'm putting in a letter of intent, and here's what I'm intending to do. Who should I send this to?
Right,
and we'll route it through.
Okay,
yeah.
So basically, you guys know what's going on. It's not like all of a sudden the city manager at the council meeting says, "Here's the RFPs."
No, the city manager communicates with us very well. There's multiple phone calls a day sometimes.
All right, that's great to hear, because I've been in situations like there in Wichita for a while where the city manager and the city council did not communicate except for that little block of time there once a week. So
no, very proactive on communication.
All right. Anything else that piques your interest that you want to reach out and talk about?
I know that we get a lot of grass complaints this time of year. Usually we have pothole season and grass season, it seems like, as far as issues within our community. And it's more of an annoyance issue, I think, more than anything else. But it's something that comes up, and every community does it. We adopt a municipal code for maintenance and property, taking care of properties, and it's similar in every community. Hutchinson is 12-inch grass. Some places it's 8-inch.
Right.
It's just this time of year, especially with the rain we've been having, it's difficult for both homeowners and the city, especially with low-lying drainage areas, to get those areas mowed. But yeah, we need to try to stay on top of it.
Yeah, that was a comment I heard from my mother. She has a lady down the street that comes and cuts her grass, and she provides the mower. And she says it was a good thing I had it cut yesterday and not
yeah, it'll be a few days before I cut my grass. Yeah.
So I appreciate you coming in. We've been talking with Commissioner John Richardson. He is the Northwest Council District member representative on City Council. We'll be back with more BWM News right after this.